My name is Mo Hai Peng. I used to be a heavyweight athlete at the Heilongjiang Sports Bureau and was the boxing champion of the 13th National Games and the 7th World Military Games. I'm currently facing injustice and don't know how to protect my rights. I'm now making a formal report. I'm accusing Li Yongzi, the coach of the boxing team at the Heavy Sports Management Center of the Heilongjiang Sports Bureau, of exploiting his position multiple times between 2015 and 2021. He demanded a portion of the prize money that athletes, including myself, earn from competitions, totaling around 200,000 yuan.
This is a video of former Chinese boxing champion Mo Hai-pen accusing officials online. After a series of mutual accusations among officials, the Chinese sport world is now experiencing a string of incidents, which online commentators have mockingly called a rare spectacle in world history. In ancient China, people who felt wronged would beat a public drum to seek justice. Today, they file reports on social media using their real names. From the ancient practice of stopping palanquins to shout grievances to today's petitions, it can be said that China's rule of law has not only stagnated but has practically become non-existent. Aside from the athlete reporting incident, the most talked about topic is the defection of Chinese representative Yuan Haoran. On August 5th, a Chinese social media user revealed, "There's big news from the Paris Olympics. Chinese representative of World Aquatics Yuan Haoran is planning to seek political asylum in France and will not return to China to face disciplinary review and investigation." The hashtag Yuan Haoran applies for political asylum in France quickly went viral on Chinese social media platform Weibo. Social media users speculated that Yuan Haoran's decision to seek political asylum is closely related to a recent controversial comments incident. The spark for this incident came from patriotic commentators asking online, why do Western swimmers' face turn pink or purple after swimming? Are they taking stimulants? Their question was clearly aimed at criticizing the Olympic Committee urine test of the Chinese swimming team. Before the Paris Olympics began, Yu Liang, the nutritionist for the Chinese national swimming team, posted a complaint about the frequent testing of their athletes. During their 10-day stay in Paris, the 31 Chinese athlete underwent nearly 200 random tests by the International Testing Agency, ITA, with each athlete being tested 5 to 7 times on average. Following this, with the manipulation of the Chinese government's propaganda department and the Cyberspace Administration, the drug testing incident sparked widespread criticism of the Olympics and Western countries. However, they conveniently omitted the fact that the Chinese team received the special treatment because 7 months before the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, 23 Chinese swimmers tested positive for the same banned substance. The athlete involved continued to compete and even won medals, including 2 gold medals by Zhang Yufei. On August 2nd, Yuan Haoran, a representative of the Chinese Olympic Committee and former head of the swimming department at the General Administration of Sport of China, responded to the question, why do Western swimmers' face turn pink or purple after swimming? He first said, I've been near the swimming pool and I haven't noticed this issue. He then explained that the main color theme of the Paris Olympics and the ambient lighting in many of the swimming venues are pink. Many swimmers might appear pink or purple due to the lighting. Furthermore, during the competition, the athlete's heart rate reached 180 beats per minute and their body temperature rise to nearly 40 degrees Celsius. When they reach the finish line, their skin flushes, making their faces appear red, which is normal. However, it shouldn't be the kind of pink caused by taking stimulants. As for why Chinese swimmers' faces don't appear red, Yuan Haoran suggested it might be because Chinese swimmers don't have fair skin, so their faces don't turn as red. After these remarks, Yuan Haoran was immediately attacked by a large number of Chinese social media users who accused him of favoring the United States and defending them. Some even began digging up his previous controversial statements and reported him to the Chinese Discipline Inspection Commission. In response to being attacked by patriotic netizens, Yuan Haoran explained on his mixed swim account, saying, that day, a colleague from Beijing was talking to me about the viral joke online that the faces of white-skinned swimmers turned pink after swimming. I made a joke that it might be due to some color distortion in a paid video broadcast, but I got criticized for it. This was followed by his explanation about the pink faces of white-skinned swimmers, which sparked further controversy, eventually forcing him to shut down his Weibo account. As a result, Yuan Haoran's past statements were scrutinized by these patriotic commentators, and he went as labeled as a traitor. The controversial statements that the patriotic commentators found included: in 2016, Yuan Haoran publicly criticized the Communist Youth League of China's media outlet. At that time, the media outlet claimed Russian hackers hacked into the World Anti-Doping Agency and exposed several American athletes using banned drugs. With his knowledge of such matters, Yuan Haoran openly criticized the Central Committee of the Communist Youth League, saying, "Reporting unverified interview content without conducting proper research and relying solely on translating fragmented and out-of-context foreign media reports to casually reprint or comment is a major issue among social media. I didn't expect Chinese state media to do the same. I hope all levels of propaganda departments and media professionals can publish news comments based on facts, objectively and fairly, to avoid misleading the public." Such honest posts later became evidence used by the Chinese government to investigate Yuan Haoran. Not only that, he once praised the Japanese people of their calmness and confidence while criticizing the general anxiety and restlessness among the Chinese. That same year, he mocked China's Shenzhou 9 spacecraft as a pressure cooker and called the astronauts inside fools. He also criticized the National Development and Reform Commission and expressed ridicule towards the CCP leaders in various other statements. To avoid further incriminating evidence, Yuan Haoran urgently deleted about 4,000 posts and closed his mixed swim account. However, the patriotic online armies did not intend to let him off the hook. They had already taken screenshots and screen recordings of his Weibo posts as evidence and threatened that when he comes back, we'll make sure he feels the full force of our iron fist. The incident also caught the attention of the Chinese Communist Party officials. On August 6, China Sport News reported that an official from the General Administration of Sport of China acknowledged the recent online allegations against Yuan Haoran. Being a cadre within the organization, Yuan Haoran was accused of making inappropriate remarks on social media. A search for Yuan Haoran on the Chinese search engine Baidu revealed that he is the current deputy director of the Cycling and Fencing Management Center under the General Administration of Sport of China. He is also a swimming judge and an international level chief referee, holding quite high positions in Chinese sports. Further investigation revealed that Yuan Haoran's position within the Chinese system is equivalent to a ministerial level official, akin to a high-ranking military or political leader of a province. However, many have pointed out that he might not be at the ministerial level because the Chinese representative of the World Aquatics is just an official within the China Swimming Association. The competitive sports department and the water sports management center are at the same level, so Yuan Haoran is at most a deputy bureau level official within the Chinese Swimming Association. Despite this, Yuan Haoran remains a prominent figure in the Chinese sport world. His public declaration of intent to seek political asylum in another country is a major embarrassment for the Chinese Communist Party. An overseas user commented, "When a Chinese sport official participates in the 2024 Olympics and decides to seek political asylum instead of returning to China, it's quite an impressive display. In a country known for monetary and labor corruption, where anti-corruption campaigns are used to purge opponents, this is undoubtedly a very surprising move. It's encouraging to see officials seizing the opportunity to escape this authoritarian system. Clearly, the Olympics are not just a venue for sports, but also a stage for spectacular escapes." Another overseas user expressed belief that for a sport official of Yuan Haoran's rank and position to defect, he must have significant information. Yuan is likely very knowledgeable about the use of drugs and doping among Chinese athletes and within the Chinese delegation. The explosive revelations he may bring and the potential impact of his defection on the Chinese sport and political circles are hard to predict. As spectators, we can only wait and see. Incidents like Yuan Haoran's speech crime case are in fact quite common in China. For example, a Professor Su from a Chinese university was summoned by the Chinese authorities after it was discovered that he had repeatedly made remarks such as lying flat in his lectures. On July 15th this year, the China Fengzhen Press, directly under the Central Commission of Discipline Inspection and the National Supervisory Commission, published an article on its public account titled "Identifying and Handling Behaviors that Spread Negative Energy and Wrong Views." The article mentioned that this professor, who is a CCP member, was caught by a disciplinary inspection for spreading lying flat, rotting away ideals among his students, along with so-called historical nihilism, a term to review points that contradict an official state version of history. According to officials, this professor is a law expert whose difficult upbringing led to a solitary and unconventional character. His comments had been reported by students, and he had been interviewed by the Academic Affairs Office multiple times, but continued to act as he pleased. The article identified Su's actions as violations of political discipline, though it did not specify the consequences he would face. The article also listed other cases of university cadres allegedly spreading negative energy and wrong views, including advocating for freedom and democracy with statements like "give me liberty" or "give me death," calling for the expansion of direct elections and promoting freedoms related to residence, household registration, and speech. Similar reports can be found on Chinese social media platforms Weibo, though most have restricted comments or only features those supporting the Chinese authorities. However, some scattered comments express concerns of the state of free speech in China. For instance, some online commentators said, "I still don't understand what positive energy and negative energy are. Does having a different opinion count as negative energy?" Another said, "It seems that from now on, teachers and professors can only stick to the script and can't expand on topics. This is basically speech crime." The term lying flat or lying flatism is a relatively recent internet slang that has gained popularity in China. It initially described a life attitude adopted by young people under the Communist Party's rule, where economic downturns and social inequality led many to choose inaction and detachment in response to unemployment and survival pressures, expressing their dissatisfaction. Rotting away is a further development of this attitude. In the CCP's official dom, since Xi Jinping came to power and intensified his purges, officials have become increasingly cautious, and the government has generally fallen into a state of lying flat, inaction, and laziness. The emergence of the lying flat attitude is a direct result of excessive suppression of people's behavior, thoughts, and speech, leading to a breakdown in societal engagement. Speech crime has become a new form of criminal offense in China. Under the various forms of political freedom and speech suppression by the CCP, more and more people like Yuan Haoran are fleeing China. Last year, a Chinese businessman named Li Xiaoshan and his teenage son traveled 5,000 kilometers across Central America to reach the United States. While in Colombia, they were robbed at gunpoint, losing all their valuable possessions. In Panama, they traversed treacherous forests and swamps, and in Mexico, they endured a perilous 12-hour sea journey before finally reaching American soil. During this year's Chinese New Year, Li Xiaoshan and his son, during a video chat with their family in China, both broke down in tears. According to the Arabic news network Al Jazeera, in recent years, tens of thousands of middle-class Chinese have traversed the Americas, trekking thousands of kilometers to reach the southern border of the United States in hopes of gaining entry. Li and his son were among the more than 37,000 Chinese nationals who illegally crossed the southern U.S. borders in 2023. In an interview with overseas media, Li Xiaoshan said, "The political and economic situation in communist China is utterly bleak. People living there have no hope." From Mr. Li's self-introduction, it's clear that he was born into a poor family in Henan, China. After graduating from university, he became wealthy through entrepreneurship, starting his own company and eventually owning multiple properties, making him a member of the middle class. However, the CCP zero-COVID policy destroyed his business, and his outspoken nature also made him a target of the Chinese police. Currently, China's real estate collapse and stock market crash are severely impacting middle-class families' wealth. At the same time, the CCP government is tightening controls over all aspects of people's lives, from restricting online speech to media censorship, fueling widespread public dissatisfaction. Many have lost confidence in China's future and are seeking ways to leave. For the middle class, leaving behind everything they have in China, including jobs, properties, families, and social networks, require immense determination. After arriving in the US, Li Xiaoshan felt that although he had nothing, he could finally enjoy freedom of speech. He said, "I can say whatever I want without worrying about the police coming to harass me." For middle-class individuals like Li Xiaoshan, the options for immigrating to the US are very limited. Wealthier Chinese can opt for investment immigration, but those with less wealth find it difficult to obtain a US visa. According to last year's data, the rejection rate for Chinese citizens applying for US tourist and business visas was 27%, higher than pre-pandemic levels. As a result, some middle-class individuals choose to cross the border illegally into the US. According to data from the US government, nearly 56,000 Chinese migrants were detected at entry point along the US-Mexico and US-Canada borders from January to May 2024, exceeding the 52,700 recorded from January to October 2023. From January to May this year, about 10,200 Chinese migrants crossed the Darien Gap in the Panama, a roughly 60-mile-long dangerous stretch that connects South and Central America. Furthermore, Panama's immigration data shows that from 2010 to 2022, there were 2,381 migrants, but by 2023, the total number of migrants had surged to 25,565, more than a tenfold increase. This made Chinese citizens the fourth largest group to cross from Colombia into the Darien province. Among these Chinese migrants to the US are many middle class like Li Xiaoshan, including another man interviewed by English media, Vincent Wang. Mr. Wang used to run a hotel in Dali, China, but like Li Xiaoshan, his business was destroyed by the zero-COVID lockdowns. After the lockdowns were lifted, China's economy remained sluggish and his business showed no signs of recovery. In front of Western media cameras, Vincent Wang said that his situation had led him to lose faith in the country's politics, and he no longer saw a future for himself in China. He hoped that in the second half of his life, he could gain some freedom. Earlier this year, he flew to Ecuador and then began his journey to the US. While waiting in Mexico City, he thought to himself that if he were lucky enough to survive and be granted asylum in the US, he would be willing to live frugally and do hard labor. He said, "To be honest, I know the US isn't heaven, but I know where hell is, so I have to leave." In the past 2 years, nearly 25,000 wealthy individuals have left China. According to the Henley Private Wealth Migration Report 2024, published by Henley and Partners, it is predicted that 15,200 wealthy Chinese individuals will leave the country in 2024. Numerous senior officials within the CCP system are also secretly fleeing China. The mass exodus of these elites will have a significant impact on Chinese society. The first impact is the outflow of capital, which will fundamentally affect industrial development in mainland China and the global research and investment in technology industries. The second impact is the collapse of confidence. These individuals are part of the elite in China, possessing assets and significant economic power, with considerable influence over government policies or the party state, especially within China's crony capitalist system, where the party and state elites dominate. Most of these elites have deep ties within the party and government. Their mass exodus could erode public confidence in the country's future, potentially causing political ripples or even unrest. The political and economic decline of mainland China may accelerate as a result of their departure.